Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me, tell me, tell me.
The band Royal Blood seem to be heavily criticised over the past week or so following their appearance at the BBC Open Air 3-day music festival, The Big Weekend. Why? Well, I think that sarcastically clapping the audience, flipping them off, and calling them pathetic might just be the reason why. But they're now backtracking on all of that. For those who are not aware, quick bit of background. The British Broadcasting Corporation's The Big Weekend is a 3-day open air music festival that happens in different cities every year. It's an annual music festival that moves location to different UK cities every year. This year it was here in Dundee, in a location called Camperdown Park, which is a 400-acre public park. It has a wildlife centre. There's a huge area. Had a golf course. It's a big, massive family area to go and enjoy yourself in. And Royal Blood were one of the acts on this festival that included the likes of the 1975, 30 Seconds to Mars, and it was also headlined by Lewis Capaldi, and there were many, many other acts also. I don't want to go through the whole bill. I wasn't there, but I've seen the videos and clips online of this appearance by Royal Blood, who are comprised of the lead singer guitarist Mike Kerr, who was really the guilty one in this, and the drummer Ben Thatcher. Because it was really Mike that did all this. They didn't get the reaction at this festival that Mike, for some reason, thought that they should have got. So Mike, during their song, in the middle of the songs, during their appearance, as I said, he called the crowd pathetic, clapped very sarcastically again because supposedly they didn't get the reaction that he thought they should. And when they finished their appearance, their set, walked off, flipping the bird at the audience, which certainly does not leave the greatest impression and does not really get the really good reaction from an audience. Dundee audiences in particular, we really do not care for anything like that. So that's generally what happened during their performances. Mike would even made a BBC cameraman clap, and it was basically just horrible behaviour that they're now apparently backtracking on. They're now making excuses and kind of trying to play down this whole incident. A couple of things I really do want to say about the Big Weekend Music Festival. First of all, it's a very general music festival. Like I said, you get acts like this 1975, Lewis Capaldi, 30 Seconds to Mars, etc. It's not a particular rock or pop or whatever festival, so you'll get acts of different music genres. You'll also get attendees that are very just general music fans, and also it's open air. I think part of the reason maybe that he thought that they didn't get the reaction that they did, and maybe the audio's been tweaked a little bit on the videos that I saw, but the sound that the audience made, even though they don't seemingly know them, was actually a fairly decent one. But of course, in an open air situation, the acoustics, the noise goes up into the sky and dissipates. So if they're far at the back, even if there's a group of them, we're really excited to see Royal Blood, and they're clapping their butts off, that and cheering, that noise won't reach the stage. It'll just dissipate before it even reaches anywhere near it. So their behaviour was quite unacceptable in my opinion. The video clips and stuff that I saw, again, I wasn't there, but what I've seen and the general reaction, like I said, has been very bad. Domino's Pizza put up a post saying that they'd gone into a store, ordered a pizza but then walked out because the staff refused to clap them. Just a lot of jokes and sneers and stuff like that have been made against these guys over the past week. Rightfully so, because like I said, behaviour like that really doesn't leave a good impression. It doesn't, because small acts, and I looking at it, Royal Blood seem to have been a band that's been around for a few years with a couple of different lineups, seemingly, according to their Wikipedia page. They'll leave a bad impression, and it doesn't make fans, because this is a big platform. It's been streamed on radio, online, on television. This is not going to really encourage audience members who have this opportunity to discover them and listen to their music and maybe get to like them, which is obviously why organisations like the BBC have some smaller known acts, lesser known acts on their festivals like this. It doesn't encourage anybody to really do that. It's one of the big chances that lesser known acts have with these types of situations, that they can get their name and their music out there. But it doesn't really encourage anybody to really do so. So getting to the backtracking finally, they appeared on on a BBC Radio 1 show hosted by Greg James, and I'll throw up a picture of him actually right now, because I was able to take a picture of him. Was it the day before the music festival began? It was Thursday or the Friday. He was down broadcasting from a mobile unit at the V&A Museum here in Dundee. I was down there walking about taking photographs, and I got a photo of him, and he was meeting a few fans. Didn't get any selfie with him because, again, music scene's not really my thing. But apparently today they spoke about the gig for the first time, and Mike said, in terms of the reaction it got, saying, "I'm amazed it escalated to that size. Walking off from that show, I felt I was being entertaining by way of making light of the situation, of doing a performance that I felt out of place in." Meaning, again, it's a general music festival. They identified, as he said, as a rock band who likes rock music, which gained general apathy to the crowd, seemingly. He continues, "It was somewhat of a blip on my part. I should have taken 3 minutes to think, maybe these people don't know who you are. But I was very pumped backstage, and I actually really enjoyed playing. I felt like a pro wrestler walking off at the end." Probably meaning just flipping the bird with both arms that Stone Cold Steve Austin used to do. But, yeah, whatever. "I didn't think that I had done anything morally wrong. I felt like a bit of a wind-up merchant." Drummer Ben Thatcher added, "It was a moment of madness that got out of control, I think. Mike walks out of the pub like that. It's not unusual, it's just stupid." It just basically continues that. Also, actually, at the end of the article, it states, it was asked if we had a direct message to give to Dundee music fans. Mick Kerr said, "I meant no offence and look forward to coming back," adding, "Applause is optional." So they're kind of quite backtracking on what they've done, what they've said. Certainly Mike Kerr, the lead singer and guitarist, was really the guy that did the vast majority of this. The drummer, again, I think said, basically he blew out kisses and waved to the fans to say kind of thank you at the end of the performance after Mike had walked off flipping the bird. They're kind of backtracking. But again, a lot of people will continue to say first impressions are the most important. You hear a lot about like job interviews or meeting somebody that either within the first, depending on the situation, from the first either 7 to 30 seconds, somebody will make up their mind about you. And generally, again, especially for Dundee audiences who don't put up with that kind of stuff, I don't think there was really any angry audience members there that would have, let me at them kind of thing. But generally, Dundee audiences, and Dundee in general, we don't put up with a lot of that kind of crap. I'm not trying to make Dundee sound, tough kind of crowd, this tough people, kind of thing. But it's generally true. I've seen it in local pro wrestling. He said I felt like pro wrestler. I've a lot of experience attending local pro wrestling shows here in Tayside and especially in Dundee. General audience, if they get a reaction like that, or somebody comes and shows that kind of behaviour, in wrestling they call it sitting on their hands, because fans will just literally sit, and I know you can't see it on the camera, but they'll basically sit on their hands and just show general apathy towards you. They won't react to you at all, which is one of the worst reactions you can get. People, you can come out and do your shtick, and people can boo you or cheer you or whatever the situation, whatever you're trying to do, but obviously they always say that no reaction is the worst reaction, because it means that people generally don't care one way or the other. So, let's sort of seem they're backtracking on it. My own personal opinion, I don't know these guys, I've never met them, but it did generally seem like Mike especially, again, I'm leaning at his door because he was the one that was doing this, clapping sarcastically and making the cameraman clap and getting on the mic and calling the crowd names like pathetic. He really tries so hard to almost be one of these kind of stereotypical rock and roll rebels. But I think, honestly, he failed, and he failed miserably at trying to be a so-called rock and roll rebel. I believe they have played Dundee before in the Caird Hall, where apparently a couple of people said that the gig was pretty good. Again, not my thing, I wouldn't seek them out to go to a gig. But, yeah, these kind of behaviours, and I think somebody from some band, I couldn't find the quote again, but said something like, no act is bigger than the audience, which again is completely true. And again, I will say, if you show behaviour like that nowadays, you're less likely. I think they've got other festivals to do, because we're right at the start of the summer festival season, and I believe they've got other festivals that Royal Blood are doing. But ones like that that's kind of behaviour these days that tends to get you uninvited, unbooked, and less than welcome in venues, whether you want to go back to them or you want to visit them or play your music for the first time. That's the kind of behaviour these days that leads to a lot of people saying, yeah, maybe their music's good, maybe they've got the good song, but their attitude stinks, their behaviour stinks, so yeah, I'm going to give them a miss, which obviously could be very detrimental to their career. But yeah, I would just say, Mike, if he is genuinely sorry if he was caught up in the moment, which, to be honest, if you're an actual professional musician, you've got to be a bit more professional than that. You can't do that kind of behaviour on a live stage at a genuinely great opportunity. The BBC is the biggest public broadcaster in the UK. It's a massive opportunity, a massive literal stage for you to be on. So, and again, a lot of music fans, I think, I'm rightfully taking the mickey out of them. So I'm glad they kind of, whether they really wanted to go the rock and roll kind of route and be that, which is overdone, overplayed, and just too often imitated but never duplicated, as they say. Man with the power, man, that went absolutely sour. I think Royal Blood, all they did today on this past week, if they wanted to achieve anything at all within this festival, the only thing they get their name, and I will clap them sarcastically for this, all they really did was get their name out there, but unfortunately for them, it's with quite a bit of notoriety, as their behaviour has been criticised again and again. So again, maybe they say no press. There's no press like bad press. Maybe that'll work out for them. Maybe it won't.